Hey everybody, welcome to Example of Play. In this video, we're going to get right into the next part of my campaign series Vietnam tutorial. This is loaded up the next scenario, Bootcamp 2, Building a Firebase. For this video, I'm going to assume you watched the first one already, so you understand the basics of how to move your units and all of that. And we're going to focus on the new things coming in for this scenario. All right, so first things first, let's open up our briefing. If you haven't closed it already, let's see what our objectives are for this scenario. Now, I encourage you to read through all this in detail yourself. I'm going to give you the summary for this video and for the sake of time, but make sure you read through this in detail so you understand exactly what you're supposed to do as you're playing this scenario yourself. But the gist of it is we're going to hold this airfield that we took in the last scenario. We're going to build up the defenses. We're going to bring in engineering units and other supporting elements and develop a strong fire base at that location. This scenario is a little longer. It goes to 22 turns, and it's going to be nighttime by turn 16. So we'll see how that affects visibility, and then learn a bunch of other stuff along the way. When we close that, we'll come over here real quick to the Dacto 2 airfield, where A company from the last scenario, they're still here. They're spread out kind of about like how we had them before. And you can see those obstacles are still there. There's still a minefield on this space. So part of our job is going to be to clear all that stuff out so this airfield can get operational. But the only thing we're going to have Alpha Company do right now is dig in. So if you remember, you select them, you can either hit this button right here or hit Control D to have them start digging in. And you'll see this little icon up here with the shovel. Now, they have sort of a percentage chance to dig in on each turn. And so they might dig in their positions, they might not. We'll see how it goes. Eventually, they will build improved positions there, so they have better fighting positions that'll give them higher defense ratings for later. But sometimes it takes one turn, sometimes it takes many turns. It just depends for your regular rifle platoons, and it depends on their training level and other things. But for these guys, they might or they might not build them quickly, or it might take them a while. But we're going to leave them doing that while we come meet some of our new unit types over here. So these are all going to be some supporting elements. First one, pretty simple, is a 50 caliber heavy machine gun platoon. So obviously these guys are going to be no good for assaulting, but great for defending. They're in a hex with a Jeep, so we'll see how to load into that here in a minute, or a quarter-ton truck. Looks like a little Jeep there. And then over here, we have a construction platoon, so you can see their name up here. If you recall, you can hit F2 while you have a unit selected to get some information about them. So it kind of describes what the unit is, all their stats and their various things, a chart for their damage. But really the important thing for some of these specialist units is being able to see what their capabilities are. So what can these units do? Maybe that's different from other units. So like these guys can erect barriers, they can build a light bridge, a lot of stuff you'd expect your engineers to do. These guys, being a construction platoon, are not meant for combat at all. They do have weapons, but they're not meant to be fighting. They're meant to be building stuff. If we come down here, there's an engineer platoon. So they're a little bit different. They are more like combat engineers. They also can do a lot of help with building certain things, but they can also clear minefields, clear barriers, things like that, which we're going to do shortly. And also, if you come around here, notice they have a really high hard attack value at short range. So something to keep in mind there. They can hit really hard from close range, but not so much from long range. But again, they're not really meant for firefights. They are meant for specialist purposes. And in this scenario, we're going to use them to build stuff. And then over here, we have the battalion HQ, which now this scenario, we will be able to move it and take it along. So the main thing that's important about them is that they can provide supply to other units, but they need to be stationary to do it. So you don't want to be moving them around a bunch. You want them to be in place somewhere safe so that they can have a better chance of giving supply to other units. And in this scenario, one way you can see kind of the general, or well, we'll talk about that on turn 2. It'll talk about it, a little pop-up. What we're going to do right now for turn 1 is load these guys into trucks, which is pretty easy. You're just going to select both the units in that space, and you're going to see the truck has a little empty icon right there, meaning there's nothing in it. And then you can either come down here and click load unload, or hit Control L and they'll load up. But of course that uses up most of their action points. And then same thing with these guys. We'll just get them all loaded up and then use that same button to unload them later. Now they're all loaded up, but they don't have any range to move because it took all their action points to get loaded in the truck. So that's pretty much it for turn 1. We'll go on to turn 2. We'll save it there. All right, nothing happened. No enemies show up. All right, so now it says we're into turn 2. So we're going to move all of these supporting elements down the road to the new Firebase that we're building. And here it kind of talks about them in a little more detail, but it mentions combat efficiency checks. So at the beginning of every turn, going to check non-isolated units that fired the previous turn to see if they're still in supply or if they've switched to a conserving ammo mode. So without going into a ton of detail on it, basically, are your units in supply? Are they still fully supplied on ammo so that their combat efficiency is topped off? If not, it'll drop. It makes them less effective for assaulting, less effective for fighting. And so you'll see a little hollow bullet symbol up here on the unit if that happens. So it's just talking about that and how the HQ unit is important for trying to keep that from happening. And then it talks about our current ammo and artillery supplies are 40 and 20, which you can see that right here. So 40 for ammo, 20 for arty. Artillery specifically uses the arty ammo. Everything else uses regular ammo. And then in the manual, there's more detail on it. But that's to give you kind of the basic gist of it. And then our HQ was unable to provide supply, probably because they were loaded up in a truck. They need to be kind of deployed and stationary for that to happen. Now, if we come over here, we'll check on A company first, see how they're doing. And we didn't get any message about it. You would get that on the little turn report if they had built an improved position, but none of them did. They're all still digging, so nothing much happening there. And now we'll move these guys down the road. Yep, hit H so I can see that. So as you can see, once they're in a vehicle, like the smaller the Jeep, they can move really far, all the way there. And away they go. And since we're not too worried about, oh, well, not all the way there, most of the way there. And so we're not too worried about enemies right now, so we're just rolling right on down the road. And one thing you might want to do, I turned up a little bit on mine. If you go to options and animation speed, side A, that's us. I turned this animation speed up 1 notch, and it made, since we got a lot of long vehicle moves in this scenario, kind of made them go just a little faster, but still look about right. All right, so we get a little message here just saying, yep, okay, we've loaded up. We're moving down the road towards the airbase. And then, yeah, some units are going to use more action points to get loaded than others because, like, the construction engineers, they've got tons of equipment with them. So, just mentioning that. And then here at the camp, you'll notice where the hexes are, that they couldn't move out of the camp directly in these directions because it has, like, a little stone wall around it. You can kind of see it there. And it's an installation. So basically, like, they had to go through a little gap in the stone wall to get out, just so you're aware. It's kind of hard to visually see it there. Okay, and now there's not really anything else to do on this turn. We're just moving down the road, so we'll hit end turn to go to turn 3. Now we get another little message. It says saying we should have our infantry company dig in, which we're already doing that from the beginning, because it sometimes, like we're seeing, it takes a few turns for it to happen. And yep, nothing else to add from that other than your engineers, when they get there, they can build those improved positions faster than regular infantry, which you would think, they're being engineers. And so you can have them come and help your regular infantry build those up if they haven't already. And then, as we'll see, the construction in a platoon can build fortifications even further than just the improved positions. But we're going to send our lead vehicle onto the Firebase. And then if you forget which unit is in a vehicle, if you come up here, if you hold down right click, you can see, all right, so the machine gun team is in this vehicle. And then you can see the little icon there is full now instead of being empty. And then we'll see, I don't know if they'll have enough action points left to get out, but we can just click that again, and they do. So then the machine gun team gets out. Now our battalion HQ is on the way as well in this next vehicle. And that's just telling us kind of what we already knew there. We're sending them on to the main, we're gonna build our main Firebase here where it says Firebase, and then we're also gonna build up these all 3 hexes here. All right, so they don't quite get there. This vehicle has our construction platoon, so we want to send them onto the Firebase as well. And then, just like I mentioned, they can build up improved positions faster and then build onto trenches, which are even better than the improved positions. And then this last truck has our engineers, like our combat engineers. We're going to send them here because we want them to clear all these obstacles off the airfield. All right, and then just another little message. Yeah, same what I just said, that they can clear the minefield and the blocks, these obstacles off of there. And to do that, it's really simple. All you gotta do is park your engineers on that space, and then they'll remove one level of minefield, one level of block, whatever it is, each turn while they're there. So really easy to do that. All right, so let's head on into turn 4 here. All right, we get a message letting us know we're on the right track and that we're expecting some reinforcements to come soon. You can hit Alt-S to see that, or there's a button up here that we'll click to see it. And it's just letting us know that sometimes reinforcements are on a set schedule, sometimes there's conditions for them to appear, sometimes it's uncertain. But then we got our report saying we didn't get supply and no improved positions built still. If we come up here, there's a whole tab here just for reinforce. You click on that, you see scheduled, or you can hit Alt-S. And then we see, okay, here's our scheduled reinforcements that we're expecting. This is telling us that the little 3 in brackets at the beginning is just saying this is like reinforcement ID number 3. This is this like set of reinforcements. The 5 is that it's going to be on turn 5. Question marks is that it's not a sure thing, but we'll see. And then they're going to be at hex 7949, which if we click it, it jumps to it. So we can see this is where they're going to arrive. And that it's going to be side A, that's us. But it says here quarter ton truck, but it's got a little dot, dot, dot. So if we double click on it, we'll see that actually there's several units arriving. So there's some transports, a heavy machine gun unit, some howitzers, and supply trucks. So quite a bit of stuff coming to us. And then I don't think I mentioned it before. So once we start operating across bigger areas of the map, it's good to know that if you zoom out and then whichever hex you click on, that's the hex that's going to zoom into. So it's not relative to where your mouse is, it's relative to which hex you have selected. So good to know, since now we're going to be dealing with some distance. They're going to arrive on the road way down here, and we're going to have to drive them all the way up to the Firebase. So that'll take a few turns probably. Now, if we zoom back in here, none of our alpha company still hasn't dug any improved positions yet. It'll tell us on the little report at the beginning of the turn when they do. So we'll bring our construction platoon on into the Firebase to help out. Get a message here, letting us know, yep, they made it to the Firebase site like they're supposed to. Now they can build in the same way, use the dig command as with the regular infantry, but they can build up to an improved position and then improve it further into a trench. And then they can also help our infantry get built up to the improved position a little faster. They can't unload because they don't have enough action points left, so they still have some, but because they're the construction platoon, they've got like a lot of heavy equipment, so it takes more for them to get out of there. But we can unload our engineers, our combat engineers, right here. We'll unload them, and then we can send them into this minefield. So the engineers, they won't get hit by the mines if you send them in, because like that's their job to go in there and clear those out. So we'll send them in, and it lets us know, yep, they're unlikely to suffer any hits when they go in, and then they just need to stay there for a turn, and they'll reduce it by 1 level each turn. But this is a level 2 minefield, so it'll take 2 turns for them to completely clear it out. And then it talks about, like, if they were under fire, you might want to use some smoke to give them some cover and that sort of thing. But right now, we're not worried about that. And then one way to know it's a level 2 minefield is if you come up here, when you have that hex selected, you'll see specials, and you say, it says MN2, so this is a level 2 minefield. And if we look here, it's got BLK for block, and block on that one too, which is like those little obstacles. But all we need to do is just leave them parked there, and they will take care of it for us. Now, there's not a whole lot else we can do on this turn, so we'll go on to turn 5. All right, so our reinforcements did arrive on turn 5, so we'll go check on them in just a second and bring them onto the map. Says they arrive with 0 action points, so they can't do anything the turn they arrive on the map. That's That's by design, but we want to bring them up the road and get them here. And then to bring your reinforcements actually onto the map, you need to open up the arrived dialog and select the unit there. So we can hit Alt A, do that, or we can come up here and click the reinforce tab. All right, this is letting us know, good, we've started clearing the minefield, and it'll take 2 turns to do that. And then, yeah, we're gonna build up the Firebase in these 3 hexes. And then other good news, one of our infantry platoons did build up an improved position, so that's good. We'll check on that first before we go get the reinforcements. We can see, okay, it was this platoon here. They've built an improved position, so you can see they've got like the little fighting positions appear on the map to let you know. And then here it says IP, so they've built an improved position there. The regular infantry can't build it up any further. That's the best they can do, so we'll just leave them alone for the moment. And then we'll come down here to give these guys some help by finding our construction platoon and unloading them. Oh wait, I got 2 guys selected. All right, so now our construction platoon is there, and then they can start digging as well, but they can't this turn because they have to have basically has to be their first action of the turn to start. So it'll be another turn to get them on there. And while we're looking here, the space is a little crowded, so let's send our vehicles to the rear over here to kind of get them out of the way. And make like a little motor pool over here. And again, the manual and the scenario will tell you to do this too. Yeah, we'll park our vehicles over here out of the way while our infantry keep doing their work. Now we're at mine 1 there, so they just need to stay there 1 more turn to finish clearing those mines out. Now let's go check on our reinforcements. So you can come here, or you can hit Alt A to see the arrived reinforcements, which is the same guys here. And then we click OK, and now they arrive on the map. Before they're not here till you bring them onto the map, because there might be some reason you don't want to in some scenarios. But there's not much they can do right now because they are just arrived and have no action points. So on the next turn, we'll be able to start moving them up the road. Go ahead on to turn 6. All right, and so our engineers here, they've cleared that minefield, so now that space is clear, so we can build it up with our own defenses, and then we'll move them into this one to start clearing the blocks out of this one and get that airfield cleared out so we can use it. And then it's the same thing, just move them there. That's all you need to do. These guys are still digging. And then here, our construction platoon, now we can give them the dig order, click in there or Control D. Now they are digging also, and we should see some success there with getting that improved position really quick. And then we'll also send this engineer truck away since we don't need it clogging up the main situation there. Now we'll zoom out, zoom way out, and come over here to our reinforcements, and you can see they've got a long way to go. So we'll just double click, we can select all of them together, and then we'll go ahead and just move them up the road. And if you move them all at once, then they all move together rather than one unit at a time, which will take a while. As they go up the road, they can cover a lot of ground, but it's still going to be several turns before they get to the Firebase. Alright, so now we'll head on into turn 7. Alright, so this message is talking about we're building up our Firebase, and it lets us know that your infantry platoons can actually create a level 1 IED. So in this case, for American infantry in Vietnam, think of like setting up claymores and mines and things in a defensive position. And so it's going to show us how to do that, and we will do that with our platoon that's here in the little village since they've got their defenses already set up. And it talks about doing it, the unit can't be low on ammo, and then they also need their full action points to do it. So I'll show you how it works over the next couple turns. And then, yes, another message about getting our defenses built up. It lets us know we built 2 improved positions that time. Very good. And we've cleared some more obstacles. And then one thing I forgot to mention It mentions it in the manual. These engineers, while they were clearing the minefield in this hex, since they were there for a couple turns, they could actually dig and work on building up defenses while they're clearing the minefield. Seems like a lot of work to do all at once, but you can do that. And I just forgot to do that, but it's okay. We'll get back around. Because our eventual goal is to turn these 3 hexes into trenches. So this is going to be the main part of our Firebase. Then we see these guys built their improved position as well, so that's good. And then they've got one here. So we go ahead and we'll move. I'm going to move the infantry. Now this is all going to kind of vary for you because it's not all going to happen on a set turn. It'll just depend. But I'm going to move one of the infantry platoons over there so they can start digging there on the next turn. And then the construction platoon, now they're not digging anymore, but I'm going to order them to dig again to work on building this up to a trench from just an improved position, because that's our eventual goal. And then hopefully these guys will get theirs set up as well, which, given that everything's nice and calm right now, I'm actually going to, I think I'll bring these guys over and have them help out. Now, that's not necessarily, you don't have to do exactly that. That's just what I'm going to choose to do here. And then, yeah, I think that's everything we can do here for the moment. Oh, oops. Yeah, we need to move these engineers over, start clearing that. And that's the last obstacle. Once they've got all those obstacles cleared, then the engineers, the combat engineers, they can also come back and help dig up the defenses and get them all to improved positions. Okay, so I think that's all we can do there. And then these guys, we'll have them move up and try to set an IED. All right, so it rewards us. Yes, you're following instructions, moving these guys up to set an IED. And the way it works is it's kind of like digging, but actually it's a little different in the outcome. So you need to do it with full action points, just the same. But instead of it happening over time, it basically either it works or it doesn't. So you just have to try every turn until it works. But we'll move them up, and then on the next turn, we'll be able to try. And then we'll bring our reinforcements up the road. So just select them, have them move on up the road some more. Okay, and it's letting us know, yep, our artillery is in there. It's on its way. And what we were just talking about, once your engineers get done clearing the defenses, have them go back and help build up the improved position as well. And then it also talks about the stacking limit. So the stacking limit is 12. And then if you have more than that in a hex, they'll get defensive penalties because they're too crowded. And the way you can see strength is right here. So it's a number on the top of this little circle is the strength. So all these guys together are at 9, 10, 11. So we're almost maxed out with how many units are moving together here. And they can go a little further up the road. All right, good. They're well on their way. Now on to turn 8. All right, another message letting us know we've cleared out another block. And engineers didn't take any casualties doing that. So yeah, we've got the airfield cleared. And then our construction platoon has improved their position. Very nice. Let's zoom in on that. So now this hex is, so just in one turn, the construction platoon was able to build it up to a trench, which may or may not happen for you, but it worked out for us. So now it says TR there, so it's a trench. So now this space is more heavily defended than before. And we'll send the construction platoon over here and have these guys start digging here. So yeah, it's a lot of micromanaging, working, remembering to have all your units do things as you're building up defenses like this. But I think it's pretty cool that you could have a scenario where some units are on a map this big, you know, operating in different parts of the map, building defenses here, moving there. Pretty realistic. I like it. So we'll move in. We'll have those guys go there so they can start building that one up on the next turn. And then our engineers, since they've finished what they're doing, we'll move them over here as well. So now we have 12 strength in this hex between those two units. So we don't want to go too crowded, but we'll have everybody work on digging together. And then to do the IED, we'll come up here and select this platoon. And if the name things ever get in the way, you can hit the tilde key to make them go away just so you can see clearly. But of course, it's nice to have those there so you know what you're looking at. All right, so to do the IED, it's a little different. There is a button for it. If you go to the engineer tab, this little skull and crossbones here, or underneath units up there, lay minefield ID or control M. So different ways to do it. But like I said, it's kind of like a dice roll. Either it'll work or it won't, and then you'll have to try at the beginning of each turn when the units have full action points. So we'll do that. We'll see. Okay, so it didn't work because nothing's on that hex. You don't get like a message telling you it didn't work. It just didn't. We'll have to try again on the next turn. All right, now last thing we need to do is move up our reinforcements. One thing that's handy to know, so you don't forget that you have units on other part of the map, you can use these two buttons here to cycle through your units. So you can click that or hit N to quickly cycle through all the units. And if you get to the end, it'll tell you you've seen them all. That way you don't forget, let's say we have, a convoy over here on this side of the map while we're busy over there building up that Firebase. We'll move these guys up. I think we got a message here. All right, so our convoy's making good progress. Now you'll want to read this message because it's going to tell you specifically where your units need to go. So the supply truck, the supply unit, it needs to go to hex 3726, which is the one that's marked Firebase. And that's where we need to unload there, and that'll bump up our supply for units in the area. That'll bump up this over here ammo and arty ammo much higher so that our units will be more combat effective. And then, yeah, and it tells you how you can look to see which one's in which truck by holding down right click over here. All right, so they've made it to the town. A couple more turns to get to the base. And if we come back over here, I can have these guys start digging. And then those guys on their next turn, and those guys keep trying to lay the IED on the next. We'll end turn 8, go on to turn 9. All right, we've built another improved position. So if we look, we'll see, oh, those guys did good work. They got an improved position built on the first turn. Sometimes it can be really quick, and sometimes it takes a while. So that will set up our construction platoon. We'll tell them to dig so that they can work on turning that into a trench hex. And then we can have these infantry, they can go try to build up another position. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to do it for fun. Send them up here to work on putting in a fighting position here in this little village. Maybe a little fallback position for whoever's up here. Those guys are digging. These guys, will have them all start digging. So hopefully they get an improved position real quick. And then these guys, we will try to lay the IED again. All right, it worked that time. All right, so we get 10 points. Yay. And then that's going to slow down any enemy attack that happens to come through there. And then it mentions if you have time before dark, you can set up some more. That's reminding us that this scenario, it's going to get dark eventually, which it's not yet. If you look here, visibility is at 5, so that's where it started at. But here pretty soon it's going to start going down. The IED is kind of hard to see. It's like these little bitty black marks, but if you look up here, it says IE1. So that hex is now booby trapped basically to slow down any enemies coming along. And then we can, in the meantime, have these guys start setting up some more around the perimeter if we want to. And then we'll zoom out to our reinforcement. Have them come on down the road. Making good time. Should just be one more turn to get them all the way here. And yeah, we'll just check in. Yep, those guys are digging. Guys are digging. Then those guys are going to start on the next turn. Okay. We'll go on to turn 10. We have one unit low on ammo. They're unable to provide supply. Hopefully we'll fix that when we get our big supply truck here. So just looking around here, I'm gonna have these guys, they're low on ammo because they put down the IED. So yeah, I should mention, so whenever you do that, basically it's like them sticking a bunch of their explosives and stuff in this hex, so that will make them go low ammo. So they have to be fully in supply and have ammo before you can set the IED, and then they're gonna go to low ammo after doing it. But hopefully we'll just move them here, and then we'll see on the next turn if they get resupplied and get ammo back, then they can lay down another one. There's no total limit to how many they can be laid down, but basically every time you do, they're going to go low ammo, so they're going to need to resupply. So good to know, like especially for a unit that might be isolated or something, be aware of that. Have these guys start digging in that hex just to add to our defenses. And those guys carry on with what they're doing. And then, all right, let's bring our reinforcements and get to the fire base or right up next to it for this turn. Perfect. Now we want the artillery, and in those messages it'll tell you this, but we want the artillery to go to this hex and the supply truck to go to that hex, and then the machine gun can just go to wherever we want. So if we come over here, we can see, all right, the machine gun is in smaller vehicle, so we'll move it there. And then we'll move them off that hex. Once the defenses are built, we'll spread our guys back out. And then the artillery, the howitzers are in that truck. And supply truck is that one, so we're going to move... Well, we'll move the supply truck there and then on to the fire base on the next turn. Then there's nothing else we can do this turn, so we'll carry on to turn 11. All right, so we're making excellent progress, and then on this turn, visibility has gone down 1. So if we look over here, we see visibility is now at 4. So basically, this scenario is going to turn to nighttime over the next few turns, and we'll want to have our defenses all set up because I'm guessing we're going to get attacked during the night. So yeah, watch that visibility marker there. And then we can also hit V to turn on visibility, and we'll see that it goes down as it gets darker, obviously. All right, now we've got another entrenched position. Very good. And all that's going to be kind of just vary on as you go, because it's kind of random what gets built, how fast things get built. So don't worry about it if yours is going a little slower. Okay, so now we've got the trench built there. And then we'll have the construction platoon. And we need to have them go back to the main fire base there to build it up to a trench. And then supply truck needs to go to the actual Firebase hex. Okay, so we'll get when you do that, you'll get a message letting you know, all right, supply situation has improved. We got them where they're supposed to go, and our base ammo and RD ammo are going to jump up, and we got points for doing that. And now it says we can move the supply unit somewhere else if we want to. But this is kind of like a scenario specific thing that we needed to get the supply truck there to boost up our supply levels. And then getting these event points counts towards our victory conditions for the scenario. So if you're in a scenario that's got very specific things you're supposed to do, pay attention to those so you get the event points. Okay, so we can see now our ammo and RD ammo have jumped up quite a bit. And then we can move this supply truck over to our little motor pool here. And then the truck that has the howitzer, we're going to move into this hex. We'll get another message telling us, yep, we followed directions, got 25 more event points, and this is a good place to put our artillery for the night. And we've, already built this up to a trench, so it's ready to go. Then we're going to unload it, and then once it's unloaded and has action points, it'll be available for fire support missions, and we'll go over that more over the next few turns once we're ready to do that. And yeah, so it'll be next turn before they have enough action points available to actually unload. I'll unload those guys, and then we'll move that vehicle over there out of the way. And then the machine gun team can even help dig too once they're on their next turn. Oh, nope, they can do it right away. All right, good for them. Those guys are still out of ammo. Guys are still digging. We could swap off, but since these guys are still low ammo, we'll have them come in and see if they can help dig that up, and then we'll send those guys out to set another IED. All right, so we'll go on into the next turn just to get all our stuff unloaded, and then we'll probably stop this video there since that's kind of a nice stopping point. We've got all our reinforcements here and in position. So let's go on to turn 12. All right, so this is going to talk about airstrikes are now available. You can read through all this in detail, but basically it's letting you know they're available, how to bring up the dialogue to use them, and we'll see all that before the scenario's over. But we won't go into it in this video since let's wrap it up for now. All right, we've built up some more. Good, good, good. All right, so now we have an improved position here as well. So I'm going to move the engineers. I'll move the infantry platoon back up here. I'll leave the machine gun team there and the engineer team there. Then have my construction platoon work on building the main Firebase hex up to a trench, which I thought I did earlier, but I might have messed it up. That's okay. And then let's unload our artillery and then move that truck away. And we'll spread our trucks out a little bit too. So now this artillery is set up here. Maybe we'll have the engineer platoon and keep them company. And then on the next turn, they'll have their action points back and they'll be available for fire mission, which I'm sure we'll get to see in the next video, all of that. So we'll end this one here so this video is not too long. With you should have all your reinforcements here. You may have trenches built everywhere, maybe not. You should have at least improved positions built on all the objective spaces. And then we will, in the next video, we'll finish building that up and get ready to defend during the night. I'm assuming we're going to get attacked during the night since that seems to be what we're building towards. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe if this was useful to you and you want to get the next videos in the series. And we'll see you next time. Bye.